Alright, here we are here again. If you've been following along, you just saw me cut down the entire wiring harness down to pretty much only the essentials, just because I'm going to be running mechanical gauges on this motor. Otherwise, I was going to take the heads and intake off, but I have a new intake on the way just because of the setup I have. It's made more for high RPM, and with the overdrive trans, which is the NV3500 5-speed out of a 93 4.3 two-wheel drive S10. And the gear ratio that I got because it's the disc brake system out of a early 2000s Extreme. This intake will be pretty much pointless because I'll be running 1800 RPM at 60 miles an hour in overdrive, and I'm not going to have no torque, no power, no nothing. So I'm going to a nice just Edelbrock Performer dual plane instead of the single plane. I'll still keep this one around on the shelf just because, well, I already have it. I own it. Why not? But before I do that, I got the new heads here, the new tested heads, because these are the ones that came off the Blazer. So there's that. But before I do that, as long as I got all the room in the world here, I'm going to take a look at the clutch system. This was the factory 2.5 4-speed transmission. And if you look at any T5 or even the 4-speeds, the clutch used to be on the driver's side of the motor. Now at the NV3500, it's on the passenger side, underneath the starter, back over there, and you got to run new lines. And you try going through GM, and you try going through O'Reilly's, Napa, or Zekas, and Summit Racing, Jags, what else, Speedway. You cannot find a clutch line to go across that was factory or anything that would work, because it has to have some give to it, because your firewall is stationary, but the motor and transmission will rock back and forth, because I'm still using the rubber 2.8 mounts with just your standard conversion system. And how I said in the other video, you can see I got my motor all the way ahead on those grooves, just because when I robbed the transmission, I also robbed the cross member and the drive shaft, so everything just drops in, bolts together, lines up, and everything lines up on the inside as far as shifter location and everything else. And there's still plenty of room for the front accessory drive, because you can see it's going to be sitting out to about right here. Still plenty of room for a 3 or 4 row radiator. Sorry, I'm losing my words a little bit. Otherwise, I got other parts just sitting around for it. As far as the throttle cable goes, because I bought 2 of them when I bought this one. It's the same one I got on the Blazer and my old S10 when I did the carb swap on it. It's off 1991 2.8 S10. Alright, so here's the throttle cable, how that kind of goes in there. You can see, I mean, since it's a factory cable, all the geometry for the inside of the truck is the same. And how it works, if your carburetor is there and you want this to be set up about right there, pretty much all you do is just create a loop with it. And it works fine, it works great. Here, hold on here. Like, even when it's all looped around stuff, you can have it so it's, you know, decent loop. Plugged in, let's say, right there, kind of moving around the distributor, and you can still hear it. I mean, there's no resistance there. The cable snaps back. And yeah, that's how it works. So let's do it. So I'll just plug and play R&R. Real simple. That's pretty much all that's to it. And then as far as the disc breaker end goes, I got a Willwood system that's got the disc already with the adjustable back brake proportion valve. But I told you when I started this project that I was going to supply part numbers for everything, so here we go. For the clutch side of things that bolts onto the transmission, moves your clutch fork to your pressure plate, the part number off of the VIN number of the donor truck came out to be CS2252, and for the one that was on the firewall is a CM1288. And they are different, so you will have to change it over for when you do the NV3500. But like I said, with the clutch line issue, I already took one of them out as a demonstration here. You know, this goes onto the transmission. You got your single inlet. It looks like you have a bleeder, and pretty much that's pretty much it. But Russell makes these parts, little 640281, and it's just a roll pin adapter to a -3 AN fitting. And if you look that part up, it's going to say it's made for a Chrysler or Jeep, but it all kind of transfers over because of the dimensions on it. You can see it goes together. It's a nice kind of tight fit, so I'm guessing it's going to be nice. It's going to push in there because I tested it out before. I took it all back apart just because I wanted to fit it back in the box. But you push it together and the roll pin does go in, does hold it, and I feel like it's going to be working pretty good, because then you can just order up like a -3 AN line for however long you need, and it can be steel braided, and it'll be pretty much good to go. So if you're looking to do an NV3500 swap with the V8 into your S10, I would recommend these parts, and everything should jive together. As far as the rest, I discussed how I have older style tack that I will be running in this, and here's kind of what that one kind of looks like. It's you can tell it's a little older. The numbers are kind of cracking. I know it's gonna be hard to see. Might not be able to see it, but I wanted something that didn't rev out too high. Even though this is 327, it will probably rev out to about 6,000. These transmissions don't like to rev above roughly 5,500 because the synchros inside of them, they don't stay happy once you start really climbing up in the RPM. So that's also why I'm changing out to a different intake, something where I can have more mid-range and have more fun with it, be a little more practical and everything else. Just because when I think I already posted the video up, maybe not, but when I took my single plane off on the Blazer, since it had very little runtime and that I only took it down the road and I didn't really wind it up in the RPM too much, you can see that the cylinder 1, 2, 7, and 8, the burn pattern on those was a little bit weird compared to, you know, the middle four. I found out cylinder 5 didn't even fire, so I'm amazed at how much power it had. I can't imagine how crazy it would have been if it would have been hitting, but maybe that's why the motor went to wash the cylinder down. I don't know. But I'm thinking it must have been a spark plug wire issue. Something wasn't connecting right, or maybe a bad plug. I don't know. So when I change over to the whole MSD system on this, I will be buying new lines, just because those spark plug wires that I had on it were the same ones from when I bought the distributor on the swap meet. They were just all together there. So I'll just take the plugs, set them out, all 8 of them in a row on each side, and then just bump it over by hand with the, you know, hook up the starter and whatnot, and just bump it over and watch to make sure all of them spark across the board. Then throw it together and run it. This motor is a good runner, so I'm hoping it does wonders. Otherwise, there's pretty much everything. I mean, that disc brake setup bolts right on, and everything should bolt right up to where all the factory mounts would be, and everything else whatnot. If you're wondering what part number this is, part number 260-11179. So I've never used it before, but that's what I'm going with. And just by doing like a quick caliper check, it'll bolt right up. So if you have any questions or whatnot, you know, I bought a new reservoir line. It's all GM certified parts I got here. Just drop a comment below. I'll try to help people out as much as I can, because I know that it took me a couple years to get all this stuff figured out. If I can help somebody along the way, then, you know, that's mostly why I made my YouTube channel, because when I was looking for stuff, I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find anybody posting part numbers or whatnot. So I'm in this to more so help somebody that is a little unsure about doing it, or is wondering how to go about it, or part numbers, or anything like that. So drop a comment if you have any questions. I'll help you out as much as I can. These are kind of my forte, these S10s. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll go together easily and quickly. I think it should, with no problems. Just because these are all proven parts. So yeah, I will be running heat, and I will be running all kinds of crazy stuff with this. Alright, so I put the roll pin in. I put the new clutch system in for the firewall, and it definitely hangs down a lot farther. I just kind of tossed the exhaust up, kind of see where it's gonna mock, and it's real close to the header. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab some header wrap, because I got some left over from when I did the Blazer. I got about 50 feet left over, give or take. So I'll just wrap this section up right here real nice and thick, so that way it kind of keeps the heat away from both the brake lines and the clutch unit itself. And the clutch line that I got does not fit up to the stock reservoir. It's just a pinch too short, so I'll have to figure something out there. So there's that, and I'm just gonna keep picking away at it little by little here. So just hang tight, stay tuned, and we'll catch you next time.